Hey! Welcome to Dollar Views. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Stephen Maltmanex.
We're just a couple of Long Beach State film grads with a lifelong passion for cinema trying to put our money where our mouths are.
And we decided to make our BAs mean something by offering our spoiler-free take on the latest film releases.
Plus, any other media we've ingested over the past week.
Whether that's the latest buzzworthy show,
An album that's been on constant rotation,
that indie darling no one can shut up about,
a cute romantic comedy,
or the latest Michael Bay masterpiece.
we go over it all. $1 at a time. So we both finally got to see the Farting Corpse movie from Sundance.
Is that really what we're still going to call it?
That's what everyone's calling it.
That's what everyone called it, but I mean, the stories of people walking out, like, it seems ridiculous to me now. I mean, granted, I had a crowd that was into it
Totally
from that opening scene. I mean, come on, that shot of just his body, of Daniel Radcliffe's body just flailing on the water, moving around like a motorboat through farts, like... I mean, I guess I don't know. Like, I didn't know farts were that offensive to people apparently, but I've not looked at what the Tomatoes meter says or anything. But when you Google this movie, it says Rotten Tomatoes 60%, and
seems that's a good number for a movie like this.
I am very curious to read what those negative reviews have to say, because I mean, on some level, I get the polarizing factor. And I can touch on maybe later about the 3% of this movie that did not work for me, really. But you and I are both going to say it, dude. Come on, this was excellent. Like, this was great.
Oh, no, This is beyond excellent. I'd buy this for $1. I don't know if you saw my tweets last night. I missed the first 5 minutes. I knew I missed them.
Really?
And the ticket taker was like, you know it already started. I was like, yeah, I don't care. Because I really wanted to see it.
So you just missed the opening shot I was talking about.
I waited through the credits. I stayed out in the lobby, and I sat through for the first 5 minutes again.
Right.
Yeah, I tweeted about that. I was like, normally I don't do this. I just have you fill me in. But, oh my God, like, I'm so glad I did, because that opening sequence...
It's so great.
I literally missed the entire opening sequence, and it just started with Paul Dano waking up with the cheese puffs. And so it was like, I didn't really miss anything, but I missed
the title, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, right when that title comes up, you just feel pumped for it right away, and you just want to go along with it. Like, wow. I mean, I'm glad you saw the movie, but I mean, that sucks that you missed that.
Well, I was lucky that, we do this show and I do 2 cents more importantly, so I was fully aware of the buzz coming out of Sundance, or I guess the hiss, or I don't know what you call it. Because if I was in Colorado, and the type of people that go there, I mean, the film snobs, the reporters, everyone that's trying to find the new buzzworthy crowd favorite.
You're talking about Sundance?
Yeah.
It's in Utah, not Colorado.
Oh, excuse me. And so if I was sitting there, those first, 4 or 5 minutes, there's enough there that if I was a pretentious asshole, I could see myself leaving too. And then it's a good thing that they walked out on this, because the message of the story wasn't meant for them. This is a beautiful film about embracing your weirdness and finding love at any cost and just holding on to it regardless of what someone thinks.
I'm with you there for, like I said, 97%. But I mean, going with that, like,
it's not a perfect movie.
No. It's, I mean, I don't know. I've been thinking about, like, bouncing back and forth, because, like, throughout the movie, like, I hate this habit, but yeah, Letterboxd ratings do come up in my head of, like, what, at this point right now, I think I might give this like a 4, maybe a 4.5. And yeah, throughout I was feeling, okay, 4.5. And then there's a point where it slid down to a 4, but I'm wrestling back and forth right now, and I think I'm leaning back to a 4.5. But I mean, here's the thing: is all right, just focusing on, like, everything before, when it dips down a tiny bit for me. Like, not only is this absurdly funny, I mean, it's great visual comedy, which, how often do you see that, these days? I mean,
especially with the boy wizard.
Like, a fart joke is usually just based on sound. Like, you just hear it, and then there's, like, that pause there where, like, people just look at each other like, did you just fart or something? It's a lame joke like that that's just not funny anymore. But just like all the visuals here tied to that, like the way that it presents farts visually is fucking hilarious.
The like, it's almost like a rocket ship taking off.
Literally one shot it is.
You have that like build up in the legs and then like the butt cheeks, and there's this rumbling like you ate something really bad, and yeah, it's takeoff. Like it's really fun, but it's more than that. And I'm really glad that you didn't pick Weekend at Bernie's for this week to tie in
Oh
with
yeah,
this for
which
Dead
by
to
the way,
Cinema.
the Alamo pre-show had the trailer for that.
Yeah, well, just from that trailer alone, you should be able to understand how these films are vastly
Oh
different.
yeah, I
Different
mean,
because
there's
on
not it's
paper,
not a big there's not a wide selection of movies
yeah,
about corpses.
if on paper this film is Weekend at Bernie's meets Castaway, like it flat out is, but it's a million times more than that. There's so much heart in this, especially right around the midway point when the two men, because it's like a zombie survival bromance, I
Sort of.
guess.
It's weird. I mean,
It's kind of indescribable, and that's what the beauty of it. It's something that only someone like A24 would take a risk on, and the fact that this is gonna be on Amazon Prime for every
oh
subscriber
yeah.
in what, like 4 months or something. This is gonna have. I'm guessing this is gonna have a long stay. We got a lot of blockbusters around the corner.
Oh
I mean, look
yeah.
at Suicide Squad, and what is that, like 4 weeks from now?
Like
Um,
I seriously, I mean, this is too soon to call it, but you know,
Best of the year.
no. I mean, I want this movie to be as successful as Juno was. Like
It won't
I
be.
don't think that's gonna happen. But you know, yes, my crowd was sold out. Like I
Hmm.
know I'm in an area where that's just you know you get that like that's
Yeah.
special. That's not gonna be everywhere else. But like this is like one of the reasons you go to the movies, not just for the audience experience, but you know, like just when you see something that feels so refreshingly like you know original is trying to do
Hmm.
something in a different way. Like I mean, I don't know. Like I hesitate to say it because I mean this is not a prepared view that I'm offering, but it's like I don't know. Maybe the way people saw Easy Rider or something. I'm feeling such a blockbuster burnout, and I want to say that like something like this might be starting a trend of something new within the studio system. Which like I if this was that successful, then yes, that would happen. I doubt it will, but it's just like I feel like I really want that to happen. You know?
Yeah, I wish it would too, but I mean the beauty of Netflix and Amazon Prime
Mm-hmm.
is that the streaming giants are going to take risks on little small
Oh yeah,
things
no,
like
they can
this.
get them out there, but I
Yeah.
mean, like if this was like if Netflix made this movie and you know they put it out, sure, like a lot more people would see it, but would you have like how packed was your theater?
There, besides me, there
Mhm.
was 5 or 6 people.
Oh wow, that
Which,
sucks.
no, it's not bad for the theater
In
I was at,
comparison, though,
and
like
the
for
time. I went to like just a standard Pacific theater at a mall, which I haven't been to since Austin Powers Goldmember actually came out.
like see,
I've
I was in a
avoided it.
large like I want to say 400 seat room, so like you know like one of the larger rooms at the stadium seating and everything. So like this would be the perfect screen to see
Yeah.
a blockbuster. The sound was perfect. Like, you know, 7.1. I think this movie was even mixed in Atmos, but just yeah, man. Like it's
I
like I know I'm in a different area, but it's like I wish that the rest of the world could see it this way.
I almost went out to the ArcLight in Hollywood to see this because it was the only place it was playing up
Hmm.
until yesterday. And then like I said, I went to a Pacific theater anyway, so I still went through the ArcLight chain. And I'm happy I went where I did. Just the fact that it was playing at this mall movie theater, that were other people in the crowd, and for the most part, they were enjoying it. I mean, I was laughing louder than anyone, and this one girl was on her phone, but whatever. It was a small enough theater that it didn't bug me. But going back to something you said earlier, when you were thinking of like a critique in your head while watching it for Letterbox, that's something that I do too sometimes. I think
Yeah,
all
no,
critics do it.
I
It's
think
just
we
it's a
can't help it.
subconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a subconscious thing. I did not during this one at all. I did not at one point start thinking about what I would give it or how good or bad it is. I mean, yes, during some of the shots, because it's just so beautiful, especially
Hmm.
when they're in the woods making their own world. Just the natural lighting and the atmosphere of all the trees, and even when they're on the beach, just about anything. This is just shot really gorgeously.
Oh yeah.
It's something that no one's talking about. The music is amazing. Like,
It's
I need
I
to
downloaded
find the
it like
score.
2 weeks before I bought the soundtrack.
The
Just
fucking
because
Cotton Eye Joe
Oh yeah.
usage here.
No, like I've been listening to it. Like I've the song Montage. I just like I have the lyrics memorized in my head, so it's
Uh-huh.
being able to keep up with the visuals. That was actually really fun. Like when they're killing a raccoon and everything, and they're singing along with it.
I'm
But I
so
mean, it's
happy.
it's
Mhm.
insane though. Like and yeah, I don't do that. I don't buy soundtracks before I
Yeah.
see the movie. But I saw that trailer so many goddamn times at the draft house that it just became infectious, and I just like did research. I was like, you know what, regardless of whether I love or hate this movie,
I love the
I like this
soundtrack.
music already.
Yeah,
Like it's so good.
I've told you before off air or maybe on other shows, but I had almost no background going into this. I hadn't seen a trailer. Maybe I saw a promotional image or two, but it was all that Sundance buzz when it first came out, and most of it was negative. We covered it on the show, the people walking out.
Hmm.
So I was totally surprised. I didn't know what I was going into, much in the same way with Green Room, two really great films from this year. But just everything about it. Like, I started the show with the Farting Corpse movie, and my tweet that's kind of got some traction right now is I said calling Swiss Army Man the Farting Corpse movie is like calling the Mona Lisa the portrait of the lady without eyebrows.
If only you did it through dollar reviews, we might get more attention that way.
And
Hey,
well,
we'll
I
see what
wasn't.
happens.
I was
But
on my phone, and it was a personal thought.
hey, if you favorited that tweet or you retweeted it, hit us back up.
No, it was a lot of people, including the directors, Daniels, and
Really,
the costume,
man,
or I mean the wardrobe lady. So no, it
nice.
was a good amount of people.
And you
I
didn't even like tag the movie's Twitter or anything, man.
No, not on that one.
Wow, good
But
job, Gillis.
yeah, there was something really unquantifiable about this movie because yeah, there's some kind of generic things that happen towards the ending where, and especially in terms of, oh, is this reality the whole time or was it fake or was it? And I think that's the 3% that went downhill for you, and I can
Sort of.
agree to that extent.
I mean, let me. I guess the way that this movie was resonating throughout for me is,
Hmm.
I mean, let me put it this way. You said Castaway meets Weekend at Bernie's. I would
Yeah.
say like Castaway meets The Gray, sort of. Like that's how it was hitting
Yeah.
me at a certain point.
Hmm.
And like yeah, I get the message at the end, like hey, you can do your own thing and be odd, but like there's still like these
There's more to
very
it than
very
that. Yeah.
human moments throughout, and like in the end, like it is funny the way that it ends, but it goes for something far more absurd that should be funny. And I think this is not really a knock against the movie, but it's just like
Yeah.
I really wanted something that was gonna resonate with me, and I don't think it doesn't really kill anything. It's just like I was feeling a certain way, and this was really moving me, and then it just, I
It
mean,
definitely squanders
yeah.
that emotion the further it goes.
Yeah, it's like
Like
it feels like, okay, that humor was good at the beginning of the movie when you're setting it up, but then I felt
basically
far more of a disconnect just with the way things
once
ended, and I don't know, it was almost like my entire view of Paul Dano's character just completely changed near the end, and I
I
had
think
to
that's
think
intentional
really really
though.
hard though. I mean, yeah, and like I'm sure there's that is to the movie's credit though, because I'm
Hmm.
sure there's going to be a lot of interpretations on that and of
Yeah,
what is real and what isn't, which I frankly I'm just not interested in that. I'm more interested in what the
in the
movie is trying to
fantasy.
say.
Did you see Wilder People this week?
No, it's not out,
Okay,
but we're
because
getting trailers for it.
I feel like that would make a great double feature with this because it has. I mean,
Did you see the
just
trailer for that?
no, but the
No.
fact that it's two people in the woods trying to like get away from society,
Oh yeah.
which is basically what this film's about. I mean, it's more than that. It's about what it is to be human in kind of a similar way like Anomalisa is, but just the romance or bromance factor there. And there's a funny note. I just read it while taking a shit before the show in Entertainment Weekly. In Love and Mercy, Paul Dano's wife is Daniel Radcliffe's girlfriend, and in What If, Daniel Radcliffe his girlfriend is Zoe Kazan, who's Paul Dano's wife. So now there's
That's
like
funny.
a
Yeah.
little like love
Wait, what?
triangle. Like
Oh
they've
wait, don't
all
you mean
been
the F
together.
word?
No, what if?
No, it's called or the it's.
Oh, you saw with the Canadian title. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
it's both
yeah,
it's both
yeah.
movie names. Yeah,
Sorry, it's confusing.
that was really fun, by the way. I really enjoyed that film. It
That's,
was,
you know what? Very similar thing actually. That's a movie that I thought was 97% awesome, and then the last 3% just went in a direction that
no, I loved it. I
except
loved
it brought
that
it brought it
Elvis
way
sandwich.
more down for me. I think I disagree with the movie's thesis, if that's a way of putting it.
Sure. Yeah, I already said it towards the beginning of the show. I'd buy this for $1. Please tell me you would, despite any kind of problems you have with its closing or anything that it does kind of weird
Well,
towards the
I
end.
I want to see it again, and not
Hmm.
specifically for those reasons, but that I mean that is one of those things where I think that might be an issue with a first viewing. Like because I've had that happen so many times with movies where like I feel like I come out like I'm watching them and I'm having a great time, and then there's
Hmm.
just something that happens that
Just
sort of just
disagree
like
with.
it just sets off some red flags, but like usually that compels you to want to rewatch them. Like I did have that issue with the most recent example I can think of is Prometheus, and you know what, like it had nothing to do with any of the, well, I don't know, maybe some of it with the shit that people have said, but I've found ways to enjoy Prometheus in my own way since I've seen it theatrically. So but I definitely think more of this movie than that. But yeah, no, like absolutely, I would buy it for $1. I would definitely. I'm not gonna. I think I'll tell people to approach it with caution. If people are walking out and it's getting somewhat mixed reviews, even though like the positive ones are really
Hmm.
positive. I wouldn't say like I would at least tell them what I think, but I would say that they'd have to approach it with caution because who knows what they're gonna think, and I don't like I really am curious to see what people hate about this movie. I want to know if one of my friends is gonna walk out, thinking it's a piece of shit. So I don't know. I mean, because as far as I know, I'm that asshole that just gets annoyed with farts. A lot of people that I know still find them funny.
Hmm. I just think this film's a tour de farts, excuse the pun, where it's not just the acting from the two male leads, or the way it's shot, or the music, or the story, or the humor, or the stunts. Literally everything about it, to a certain extent, I loved. Just the way that they used Daniel Radcliffe's body progressively throughout the film to use like more usage, more jokes. The fact that they skirt over the title and say multi-utility man or something like that. Just so much about it. The little girl towards the end. The fact that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in this, but she's barely in it. But between
I
this and
know,
10
which is
Cloverfield Lane, she
yeah.
has
She
two
got
great
she got the role
films
this
this
year. Yeah,
year.
it's a bummer when you see her in a movie and she's never in it that much.
It was important for her to only be in it this much. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
thought her role was prominent enough without being necessary. Well, it was necessary, but the fact that she had little screen time herself didn't hinder anything. Like she had a great role regardless. I've seen her on Twitter in the past months, like really clamoring for people to go see this. So hopefully, our show and whoever else's shows and whatever reviews out there, whether that be Letterboxd or whatever, can really help. Because you said it earlier about Rotten Tomatoes, and we're about to talk about Finding Dory. The people that are on Rotten Tomatoes, it's not necessarily their opinion of the film, it's what they think their readers are going to enjoy. And so they're required to give their opinion for them, the people that buy the newspaper or pay the ad dollars for their website. And so I don't think it's weird that it only has a 60 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like I said, for this film, I think that's a high number
I don't know. It's
because
it always goes
Joe
back to
Schmo
that thing though.
moviegoer, though, that is seeing the Purge Anarchy
Yeah.
or fucking the BFG this weekend. No, they probably will not like this movie. They're not weird. Like they wouldn't enjoy the beauty of the message. They want that guy looks good with his shirt off. That girl looks even better with her shirt off. That was an explosion. That car just blew up. And they want something that they don't have to think about, something that's not gonna change their worldview, and they can get that. There's always a movie like that in theaters, and this is the outlier.
Hmm.
It happens to also be a good movie, and I think
Yeah.
if you're too removed from the message, if you can't resonate, if these characters and their story can't resonate with you, you're not going to enjoy it, and that's fine because it's media, especially the movies. That's why this isn't a blockbuster and it's at an independent studio. It's not about making the perfect film for everyone. It's about making the perfect film for someone. And I
Hmm.
think there's enough of those somebodies out there that it's gonna have legs. Hopefully, not only in theaters, but in home media and on streaming. Like I think it's gonna be a huge hit on Prime. Like
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
everyone's gonna
no
be talking
doubt.
about it in a couple of months.
Well, I mean, at least everyone on the internet,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people on Twitter, like people that talk about movies online, like it's getting a lot of traction there, no doubt. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it's funny you bring up Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I kind of hate, I do this all the time too, that, I kind of bring that up as like one of the end all be all barometers when really it's just a scale that says how many people like this movie and what's the
Yeah.
percentage of people that didn't. doesn't reflect a movie's
Stupid.
quality at all. And but it is interesting though, to me, as far as just like it does provide like a fun statistic, but it's not at all a measure for quality. But what I am looking forward to is those red box reviews that you just know, because they're always like
Or
there's
Amazon reviews.
well, I mean, Redbox specifically, like almost everything, when someone writes a review, it's like two sentences and it's always negative, and it could be even for a great movie, and they just go like, "Oh, boring." I just want to see like the one that comes from like, I don't know, some girl that loved reading Harry Potter and then it just is disgusted by seeing Daniel Radcliffe in this movie. I want to see what just the things that are going to come out of that.
Well, he's made enough weird things that this shouldn't be too weird for his fans. I mean, look at him and Equus being naked with a horse for a whole play.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me, my lover stands on golden sand and watches the ships that go sailing somewhere.
Do you, off the top of your head, know the Rotten Tomato number for Finding Dory?
I think it's around 90%. It's
That's fucking
yeah.
ridiculous. Because I saw your Letterboxd review. I'm sure you saw mine. We basically had the same exact consensus. It's a fine sequel.
It's Cars 2.
Yeah, well, it's better than Cars 2.
I think when you say that, that's mainly just whether or not you prefer the world of Finding Nemo or the world of Cars, and there's a lot of
Or the fact that Cars 2 kind of jumps the shark and makes Mater a special agent.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of fun though. Like, here's the thing. I mean, this also just goes in ridiculous places. Like, okay, let's have a bird pick up this fish from a bucket and fly them into. I mean, hey,
Pixar logic though.
It's fun.
Not...
Yeah, and so is Cars. I mean, I'm willing to buy it in Cars. If it's a world where cars can talk, I'm willing to suspend more disbelief and just favor imagination. And Finding Nemo is supposed to be more based in a reality where there's humans.
Yeah.
Cars, if they want to play with animation and do cool stuff, then yeah, by all means, go for it.
Well,
That's part of the fun of it.
I saw this for free. It was T-Mobile Tuesdays again, so I got a free movie ticket. So I saw it in 3D on like the customer satisfaction day at the Cinemark. 3D was great. The water was even more amazing. But I'm happy I didn't pay for this one. More so than Warcraft, because Warcraft, I kind of enjoyed that. It was different. It was unique in its own way. I was interested in the characters, whereas the majority of this film is like, oh, that's a recurring joke kind of from Finding Nemo. That's a Finding Nemo reference. That's a reference. That's a reference. Like, it had to, for some reason, resort to making fans happy for coming back to the theater instead of being original. And part of that, there's some beauty there because it does tackle, probably one of the more interesting things in Finding Nemo was Dory's memory loss.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the main thing here. She is the main character. It is about her conflict and her struggle and what was going on under the surface, because it's both a prequel and a sequel to Finding Nemo, and then at the same time, it's also a remake. It has so much going for it. I love certain things like Idris Elba and whoever else that was on the rock as the sea lions. Like that, I couldn't not laugh at that. Did you stay after the film during the credits?
I did not, actually. As soon as I heard the Unforgettable cover, I was just like, yeah, I kind of just want to get out of here now. I like the movie, but
there was a post-credit sequence with them on the rock again, and then Gil and all of the other aquarium fish from Finding Nemo find their way to the Marine Life Aquarium too.
Really?
And then they got taken in, yeah. So they kind of set it up for another one, but at the very least, it's just like a whole full circle thing, which it was like, it made it more beautiful in terms of in the scope of the rest of the film. But I could tell everyone here had fun.
I don't know. I don't know anyone that necessarily loves this movie. I don't know. Yeah, it's Cars 2. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? It's the same thing in that you take the supporting character that everyone loved. I know kids loved Mater. Kids loved Dory just the same, and they make a movie that centers around them.
Just keep swimming to the box office dollars.
Yeah, I mean, if Finding Nemo were a TV series, then this would be the episode that's just more Dory-centric. That's kind of the best way to put it. I mean, they're really... I don't know. It's like I don't want to knock on this movie. It's just when you
Yeah,
bring
there's
up
nothing
Pixar,
bad about
there's
it.
always that standard of greatness. And hey, they made a good movie. That's I in my view,
Yeah,
Pixar has never made a bad movie. I mean, there's just too many like there's
Cars
really
too.
fun creative set pieces there in this. I mean, there's just too much thought put into it, and this world is so well realized. There's so many fun side characters in there,
Yeah,
but hey, it's a kids movie and it's fun.
this
And
film makes me
yeah,
really apprehensive for Incredibles 2. I think that's the only sequel that they've made in the recent era, or
yeah,
are making, that people are really excited about.
I'm
And
not looking forward to it. Like there was
yeah,
a time,
especially after
yes,
this one.
but then when they announced it, I was just kind of like, I feel it's too late for me,
I
honestly.
don't know if it's too late. It's just, I mean, I have a feeling like that's going to be a more truer sense of the word sequel. It already has superhero nature going for it. They can work with that genre and make it fun. And this is, at the end of the day, just another, ocean adventure, which isn't nearly as fun as the first one. Like, there's like some funny jokes about Sigourney Weaver, and the whales here are pretty funny, and like all of the new characters are great. But then those little cameos from the original characters, like Mr. Ray and Crush, and just about everyone, really, it kind of it just fucked with me. I was like, I know this is equally for kids that probably haven't seen the first one, or at least they were too young at its release to enjoy it, and for the now parents and regular people like us, the bachelors, that want to go, get like another dose of nostalgia or enjoy themselves. Because, like you said, like there isn't really a bad Pixar movie. As much as I kind of didn't like Inside Out on retrospect, it was a great film. Good Dinosaur, even more so. And I would rather see five Good Dinosaurs than watch this. Just
Yeah,
the
no,
originality there.
but I still think, at the end of the day, this does speak to just how much effort Pixar puts into something. I mean, even if it's a sequel, which the studio wants to make, because I mean, yeah, I think that's sort of how
It's
this
a
came together.
surefire hit.
Yeah, like Andrew Stan said some along the lines of, I don't really want to make it, but hey, we have to. This does kind of keep our
Yeah.
business floating, but we don't want it to feel that way. So when do you want this to be released? And we'll let you know if we can make it. I mean, it's not like they're creatively just churning this shit. No, they're definitely playing with it. There's a lot of personality just to this world and these characters, and I mean, it's just. There really isn't much inspiration for deeper storytelling, or it doesn't feel, like I'm sure you saw the TED Talk that came out 4 years ago. Everyone saw it, and like,
Oh,
yeah,
how to
that
make a story, yeah.
yeah, and it like when he talks about that personal story of being born premature, like that just now completely fucking changes how you view Finding Nemo, and it feels so much personal now. This it's like, yeah,
well, Nemo's
there's
barely even in it
yeah. By the way, yeah, Nemo and Marlin don't really need to be in this movie.
at all. No,
Yeah,
they were there to, I guess, try to make it interesting. It's like, well, wouldn't it be funny if we made a sequel to Finding Nemo, and instead of Dory and Marlin looking for Nemo, if Nemo and Marlin are looking for Dory, it's like, well, the next one isn't it gonna have to be Nemo and Dory looking for Marlin? Like, right? Is that how the trilogy ends? Like,
I don't know. There doesn't need to be one. I mean,
no, but there probably will be.
Sure, and you know what? I'm sure, kids will like this movie, and hey, that's
No,
fine. I mean,
definitely.
that's
No,
yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
fun, it's a very fun movie. I
It's
enjoyed
just
it.
very forgettable for me, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Unforgettable. Are you sure?
come on, I mean, I still I love Wally, and I love that first Nemo, and I even love John Carter. So it's like,
fan of this movie.
oh my god. Even that just struck me as like, that's just straight
You're
up.
like,
That's there
let's
for kids.
explain how Dory knows whale. Like, no, how about you don't?
Yeah, plus that whale with the sonar, like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it does make up this stuff
It
as
looked
it goes
cool.
along, but it's having so much fun with it. Yeah, I did not see this in 3D, by the way.
Well, like
Yeah.
that sonar effect in 3D wasn't that special. It was mostly the water effects, to be honest.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, no, which-
there wasn't any amazing out of the frame stuff going on. Not a lot of deaths, but just the fucking water.
Yeah, and I mean, let's just put this out there. Water in general, like, okay, Good Dinosaur, it looked fucking incredible. The short before this,
Oh yeah,
oh my god, does
was
that
it
water
Piper?
look? Yeah, I mean, that short is great. Which, I mean, by the way, just fucking trumps all over your fucking short
I
that
like
you
lava.
lava'd. Like, it's a piece
I
of
like
shit.
lava, man.
I'm sorry,
That was really like it was a great little.
It sucks
the
the
fact
hair
that they
on my
they
nuts.
brought in Polynesian
It sucks
like
shit through
mysticism.
a straw.
I
Like
don't
it's
care
just
if
so lame.
the whole
It's so
internet didn't
fucking
like
lame.
it, but I like it. I think it was like a precursor for Moana, like kind of setting up the world making there.
Even though that's Pixar that's making the short and it's not a Disney.
So
Well,
they're in
whatever.
cahoots, man. You don't
Yeah,
think John
yeah.
Lasseter was like, "Hey, we got this Moana movie coming out. You want to maybe get audiences ready for that whole like Hawaiian mysticism thing? That'd be awesome."
Well, I don't know. Just yeah. I mean, this short was good. I mean, but I don't. Just the animation, like. I don't want. I'm not knocking on Finding Nemo because you do see a scene from it taken out of here, but you can definitely see the differences, and it still looks great in Nemo.
It's
Like
mostly in the particle effects and water
yeah,
physics
and just how
and
it's rendered. But I mean, goddamn, it's scary good. Like even though
there's
it's
this.
it's kind of that good dinosaur effect for me, in that there's still these cartoonish looking fish, but that just feel like they're in reality, and I mean that just looks really cool to me.
There's this really awesome shot before we move on where Nemo and Marlin are at the surface, like they're right below the surface of the water, and they're talking, and then they pop up and they talk to the sea lions and they go back down. And when they're doing that, you can see the surface, and you can see the sun like hitting it, and the way the water is reflecting them. And even though they're stationary and barely moving, the water edge right above them is dancing like the tide would be making it move. And I was just staring. I was like, fuck them. I don't care about this father son thing they got going on. And I'm just looking at the water right there, like, how long until PlayStation can do this?
I mean, especially in 3D, like I've saw the conversion in theaters for Finding Nemo, and just the infinite depth in the ocean, like it was insane. Like you would have sworn that it was made for that, even though it wasn't. I cannot imagine how great it looks here.
It was pretty special. Better
Yeah.
than the movie. I mean, like I said, I didn't disenjoy it. It's just there's nothing special here. If you haven't seen it yet, you probably won't. And this is definitely one of those that you can wait to watch on Netflix, because this will actually be on Netflix. If you haven't been following the news, Disney, everything that's being released this year is going to be coming at some point to the streaming giant. So don't buy this one. Do not rent this one. You'll get it for free for $10 a month or more.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. It's a shame that like, it's Pixar, so I want to love it, and I love animation, like, and I just so much work put in this, but I mean, yeah, it's a good one, and I guess that's good enough.
Just not super special. So did you see anything else this week? I'm short on time, so you can pick one thing to talk about.
Well, you know what? Talking about movies from, I guess, talented people, just not being that great, and Daniel Radcliffe movies. I saw Victor Frankenstein finally.
Oh, cool. Should I check it
Um,
out? Do I have to see another Max Landis movie?
No, you don't have to. I would say this is kind of. I can say this real quick. It's kind of like what was it, American Ultra, in that. Hey, the script is good. The writing is good. It's just, I like Max Landis fucking killed it in Chronicle, like along with Josh Trank, and I feel like, there's definitely talent there. It's just, I'm still waiting to see. I think we're all still waiting to see just that one breakout movie that he just fucking owns completely. Because I mean, there's so many cool things going on in the
Could
script.
be
Just
that
like
David Ayer magical movie about the wand.
we'll see.
With
I
Will
mean,
Smith. What's it called? I can't remember right now. The Netflix movie.
Yeah,
Whatever the
yeah,
fuck it's
I know
called.
what you're talking about. I forgot
Yeah.
the name, but I don't know. We'll see. Like because I don't really have much to say about it. Like there's some fun stuff. Daniel Radcliffe is good, and I like the Igor centered story. James
Even though
McAvoy,
there was that CG film called Igor with
oh shut
with
up, no.
Dan Aykroyd. Or not Dan
No,
Aykroyd. I mean
that's with Lloyd Dobler, John
yeah.
Cusack, yeah. But and yeah, James McAvoy's having fun. I know you're pressed on time, but I will say this real quick. I swear, either Max Landis contributed an awesome idea to Fantastic Four, or it was either Josh Trank that probably suggested something to this. But just like in Fantastic Four, where they're getting drunk and they suddenly just have the idea of like, hey, we should like
Fuck it. Let's
we
go
should
to
go
the special
do
place.
interdimensional travel. This movie, they're drinking while they're basically
Making the
drawing the
monster.
blueprints for Frankenstein, and it's awesome. And then there's just
Frankenstein's
like
monster.
yeah, and then there's the monster, and then yeah, that's right. Everyone falls for that.
It's Frankenstein.
Okay, the monster, but I mean, then there's like a point, like they're drinking, like they suggest something, there's a cool visual things in the montage, and then they take a drink, and then at one point James McAvoy just says, "I want him to have a flat head," and Daniel Radcliffe goes, "Why?" "Because I want to." and then they just laugh about it and they keep drinking and the montage just keeps going. And like there's cool stuff like that.
I mean, the little I know about it, mostly from reading the
Mhm.
writer's Twitter itself, is that this, out of all of his films, this is the one that is the least like the final draft. They took a lot of liberties with how they frame the story. I know it's the one that he's most dissatisfied with.
Yeah, I mean, you can see his hand in there, but it like I don't. It just feels okay in the end, you know. Like
Hmm.
there's the work put in there, and I kind of mentioned Finding Dory like that, and that Andrew Stan's a really talented filmmaker, and there's so
Yeah.
many great ideas in Finding Dory, but then it's just like, you know what? I mean, my thoughts in this are like, you're better than this. You can do so much better. Like I mean, Andrew Stan already has, but in the case of Max Landis, it's like, dude, you're still early in your career. Like I want to see you fully bloom out.
Well, he
So,
has another comic book coming out. It's
oh
called
yeah.
Green Valley. It's going to be on Skydance. What's his name? The writer of The Walking Dead's own comic book line.
I'm not sure, but I mean, yeah,
So
the main
he,
point
I
is I'm sure he'll have that major
oh, he has a
breakout
lot of
movie.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean
I mean
he,
that one thing that people like just unanimously love.
Me, Him, and Her, and Mr. Right are both going to be on Netflix in the coming weeks.
Hmm.
So I'm more interested in both of those. Me, Him, and Her, he actually directed too. So Dirk Gently, like he has a lot of shit, and most recognized filmmakers, they don't put out always the best things consistently when they're at the onset of their career, like you said. But I have real high level of faith too. Like it'd be really cool if, by some twist of fate, if he wrote one of these DCEU movies, or even a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie at that. Like it'd be interesting to see what he can do with a gigantic budget and recognizable characters, because
We'll see what happens.
he still hasn't done that. So I didn't watch any movies or really any TV shows. I've been watching Preacher and obviously Game of Thrones, but everyone's already talked about it and it's a week late. The thing I'll talk about is a video game. I mean, last week, if you listened to 2 Cents, I got to experience PlayStation VR. I have a pre-order for it. I have a lot of money down on this thing. And so, I tried a couple of games and I went, yeah, I'm totally going to start building my library. So this week there was a couple of sales on PlayStation. I bought some games to kind of like set up my VR collection, I guess. One of which is Ultra Super Stardust Ultra, where there's gonna be like an upgrade fee for VR. Not really a big fan of that franchise. It's kind of fun to shoot them up on like a 3D planet. It's kind of like Super Mario Galaxy meets Asteroids. The real thing I'm excited about, and I played a little bit, but it wasn't that great, is this game called Volume that's done by Mike Bithell. He's known for doing what's the name of that game right now? I can't remember. It came out on PC and PlayStation and
How
just
long ago?
a couple of years ago. It's a little indie game.
I
It's a
probably don't know it.
I can't remember right now. Like I could cheat, but I don't feel like it. I know I do. Um, but anyway, this new one, um, Volume. It's kind of like a future day Robin Hood, but it plays out. Oh, Thomas Was Alone is what I'm talking about. It won a BAFTA. It's really fun. And so this one, it's like, oh, steal from the rich and give them to the poor, but it's told all through dialogue and written notes, and it's like a over the top, like a bird's eye view, third person stealth game, but it's like VR missions. It's kind of like a Metal Gear Solid game. But I only really bought it because it's going to have free VR content in the coming months. It's going to be probably available launch day October 13th. And just the writing alone was worth the $5 I spent on it. Andy Serkis is part of the voice to cast, the main guy from Thomas Was Alone. So you have like these really great witticisms, not just in the dialogue, but I read the instruction booklet last night for some reason. Like the final page of it is like, you signed a non-disclosure agreement. You can't talk about any of the witticisms that Alan, the AI, uses in the game. Like just like from beginning to end, page one to the last, there's a ton of personality here, and you can tell that he enjoys making these games, these little like indie darlings. Because like I said, I'm not a stealth fan. I don't like Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid or any of the games in those kind of genre. And regardless, I bought this anyway because I heard so many good things about it, and like I said, the VR stuff. So I played 9 of the 100 core levels, but then there's also like user generated stuff. So there's literally an infinite amount that you can play. But yeah, it's just for the VR. I think I'm gonna stop playing it now, and then wait until I can play it in another dimension, I guess you could say, or another reality, and get more of my money's worth, because I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on Debt to Cinema, where one or both of us crosses a title off our list of shame.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
And we're also on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just about anywhere on the internet with hours of content available to you for free. But for those of you that feel that the show is worth your dollar, you can send us a donation at patreon.com/dollarreviews. Contributions not only earn our undying love, but they also make it possible for us to improve our recording equipment and to give you the highest quality episodes possible. But more importantly, they'd be helping us acquire the content to review. You know, trips to the multiplex are expensive, and the more donations we receive, the more films we can review for your listening pleasure.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Debt to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.